Alright boys, what's happening? Welcome back to another episode of Formula 1 2020 here on the channel. Today we do have the second race of the season in our brand new My Team series, and we are at Bahrain, obviously the classic Bahrain circuit, not the one that they raced on yesterday, which is the outer circuit. And what an absolutely crazy race we had yesterday, by the way. So yeah, we do have the Bahrain Grand Prix today, or as some people such as Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and George Russell probably know it as now, the Bahrain Grand Prix, because they had howlers yesterday. What a mad race we had yesterday. We'll talk more about that later while we're talking about our race as well. But yeah, without further ado, let's just jump into the race weekend, boys. We don't have much to do. We don't have any money to upgrade the facilities. We don't have any points to upgrade in the R&D tree. So the only thing we can do is sit and wait, boys. So without further ado, let's get into the race weekend. Alright boys, here we are at qualifying Q1 in the Bahrain Grand Prix. Now I was just looking at the research and development tree before we jumped into the race, and our engine is actually the best engine on the grid, which is just crazy, because we are a new team, so I don't know how. Obviously it's a Mercedes power unit, I don't know how ours is better than the actual Mercedes team, but yeah, we are top of that list. Obviously as you get upgrades throughout the season, people will overtake us because the size of their upgrades will be bigger than ours. But right now, like, I was feeling like our engine was quite powerful in Australia, but it's the fastest on the grid, or like the most powerful engine on the grid. It's mad. So we're going to make sure we do a flying lap for our qualifying lap. I remember last week we did, or last episode, last race, we did a drive out lap and thought it was a flying lap. So we almost had a howler, but we sorted it out in the end. What did we get? P20 last week. Hopefully we can improve on a P20 run this week in Bahrain, and hopefully we don't suffer a turn 3 disaster and blow up when we hit the wall. You know, shout out Romain Grosjean. It looks like he's in good health and good spirits. Took that corner very late there. Got to make sure we don't run wide on that corner. I'm pretty sure it's that corner that the track limits are an issue on. You know, Alex Albon loves to cover the track limits on this track. He was doing it all weekend this week and last week. Just hitting the track limits every single time. Bit slow on the throttle coming out of that corner. But yeah, it definitely does feel powerful, the engine. I can't lie, like, you know, with the stats aren't lying. You know, when I'm coming out of those corners and stuff, I feel like I've got power going forward coming out of it. Whereas with that Honda engine on the last career mode, it just didn't feel like I had, you know, something pushing me forward out of the corners. That's a nice take for that one there. Can we not run too wide? That's a decent little take on that corner there as well. I thought we didn't apply enough brake. And then we've got a sweeping left-hander. I always bottle this corner late on the throttle coming out of it. Missed the apex completely. That's going to cost us some time for sure. I always bottle that corner there. It's a mad corner because it's such like, it's like a downhill. It's like a downhill break, and it's just crazy. But you know, we're going to do 2 laps or 3, possibly just 2 in this qualifying session here. Hopefully we can hit that better on the second lap. Run wide there. I think we stayed within track limits though. You know, you've got to have at least one wheel touching the curb and not fully over. Nice take as well. Can we get a little slipstream on this straight from Grosjean as we come up to cross the line? A little toe across the line. P9 at the moment, 129.6. Danny Kvyat is way ahead of us there. You know, we got a 129. He's got, well, I think that's his sector time there actually, with a 28.7. We're going to return to the garage anyway, switch our tyres and go back out for another lap, boys, and see if we can improve on our time. And if we don't, you know, we'll just head straight back to like the garage and then into the race. Here we go, boys, lap 2 in Q1. Now, all of your laps that you seem to do after your first one in qualifying seem to always be faster. You know, whether that's just track evolution or what, I do not know. But, you know, like, hopefully as we cross the line here, you see even our delta should be higher, or at least getting there. You see we're faster down the straight. We did take a bad entrance to the straight on that first lap, to be fair, so I'm not surprised that we were going a little bit, like, faster pace going down the straight this time. Now, I need to be more aggressive on the curbs. Like, one thing I try and do is stay off the curbs, but with Bahrain, you can be aggressive on the curbs. You know, it's we've got a suspension set up as well where we can do that. So we definitely need to, like, utilise the curb, utilise as much as the track as possible. Now, for the 2021 F1 season, obviously there's no new races apart from Saudi Arabia, so all of the COVID races will not make it through to next year's calendar. We took that corner so poorly again there. That was so slow from me. And that's probably affected our delta. You can see it going down there. But yeah, so it would be interesting, boys, if they did have next year, on the at least on the game, to have all of these COVID tracks, you know, like the alternate Bahrain layout. We had Turkey, obviously Portimao in Portugal. It would be good to see those tracks on the game, because, you know, they were very fun tracks to watch on the telly. So it would be nice to be able to drive them yourself. And you can see with that corner there, we've completely ruined our lap. The delta's flying down. We're almost at an even time to the last lap. We get a nice exit on that corner there, though. Can we get across the line with a positive delta, or a negative, as I should say? And we do. That puts us to P16. Lando Norris with a 129.1. And what was ours? A 129.5. Yeah, I don't think we're going to make up 0.4 seconds on the McLaren there. Despite our engine being, you know, the best on the grid, the rest of the car is the worst on the grid. You know, the aero, the chassis. So it just shows you in F1, it's a component thing. It's not just your engine, you know what I mean? But anyway, let's sim ahead in this session now. We've only got 3 minutes left in Q3. We could go for another lap if we want, but I don't really want to waste those tyres. It doesn't make a difference, but I don't feel like we're going to improve on our time much. So let's just sim ahead and see where that puts us. Alright, boys, let's see the grid at the end of qualifying 1. Where did we finish? P16. Whoa, we're into Q2, boys. Second race of the season, we've got into Q2. That's mad. Magnussen miles behind us there, but Grosjean looks to be miles ahead of us, you know, by nearly 2 seconds himself, or +2 himself. So, you know, Q2, it doesn't look promising. It looks like we'll probably just finish P16. Our teammate there, though, Mick Schumacher, down in P20. It's a reverse of last week. Obviously in Australia, I got P20 and Mick Schumacher got P16. So it's a reverse of last race. So yeah, let's go jump into Q2. I wasn't expecting this at all. I was expecting to jump into the race. But yeah, let's go. We're going straight out, no messing around, into Q2. We're just going to set our lap straight away. I don't know who that is in the distance in front of us, but I don't think we'll catch them anytime soon on this lap. So it doesn't really matter that we have someone in front of us. Hopefully we might be able to catch them, get a bit of a slipstream, you know, and get a crazy lap in. I think Charles Leclerc got a mad lap this weekend because he caught Verstappen's slipstream. But then people are saying if you watch the onboard camera, he didn't have a slipstream. So I'm not too sure about that one there. But a crazy P4 placement for Charles Leclerc this week as we go way too deep into that turn there. You can see I'm learning to ride the curbs a bit more. You know, we can use all of the track that they give us. We finally get a nice attempt at that corner there, but the rest of the lap before that, I think this one's a write-off right here, boys. I can't even lie to you. We've had a few stinky back-to-back corners there. I'm not feeling very fast at all on this lap here. We've got enough fuel in the car, boys, to just go again, so we are just going to fly around again, try and set a better lap than that. That's even slower than our Q1 time. That's a very nice take on that corner there. You see how our delta shot up from that one. We get to the sweeping left-hander again. Nice exit on that. It's a bit slow though. This is feeling like a very, very nice lap, boys. A very nice lap. Hopefully we don't bottle it going into the last few turns. We can't get a toe off that car in front because he's just gone into the pits. And we crossed the line with a 1:29.35. That's a very nice lap indeed. Obviously, that's a lot faster than our 1:29.7, was it, in Q1? I don't even know. There's a yellow flag out. Oh, it's me. I've got no fuel. Yeah, let's return to the garage. I'm going to like sim the rest of it. There's no point going out in Q2 on the mediums. Because we're just not going to set a faster lap than on the softs. Obviously, I stuck with the mediums because... obviously, I stuck with the softs because, you know, it's faster compound. And we're not going to get through to the top 10. So the tyres that we use in Q2 doesn't really matter for us at this stage in the career mode. You know, we don't have to think about strategy, anything like that. We're in P14 already. We've dropped from P10. Let's just check the cars around us, see what's happening. We're a lot faster than Danny Kvyat there. But then a lot slower than Esteban Ocon. So we're in like a middle ground here where we're a lot slower than my man, but faster than my man, you get me? So Esteban Ocon just in front of us. Obviously he came P2 last night in the Sakhir Grand Prix. Crazy race, crazy podium. You know, Sergio Perez getting his first win in Formula 1. My guy Perez, I can't believe he hasn't got a seat for next year. If he doesn't get that Red Bull racing seat, you know, I don't know what is going on over there. If they stick with Albon, you know, what is happening? You know, we saw Max go out to the race early on, and then you've got Albon as your only like chance of getting points, and it's just not a good thing to have to rely on Alex Albon. You know what I mean? When Max is out of the race, if something happens to him, like it did yesterday, Charles Leclerc being an idiot, yeah, you need that second driver there to be able to pick up the pieces, you know what I mean? Like, if something happens to Lewis, you've got Bottas to go and do stuff, who's had a stinky year. He's been very unlucky, but, you know, Valtteri Bottas is still capable of getting a win and points under the belt, you know what I mean? So yeah, you need that second driver. Alex Albon, he's just stinky. So yeah, but that is going to be it for the Q2, is it? Yeah, we're not going to make it into the top 10 for Q3. No surprises there. Let's just jump ahead now, see where we end up at the end of the session. And then let's get into the race after that, boys. Alright, boys, end of Q2. And we do finish P14. You know, that's a solid place for us. Grosjean just behind us in P15, overtaking Danny Kvyat, who was there. And we've got Pierre Gasly just in front of us. You know, like I said, at the start of the career mode, we chose to be close to AlphaTauri, and we are sandwiched between the two of them with the Ghost Rider, Romain Grosjean, just behind us as well. Lewis Hamilton, P12. What? Lewis Hamilton is in P12, boys. What's happened there? So he set the time on medium tyres. Obviously, if you're new to F1, if you qualify in the top 10, so you get through to qualify in 3, yeah, then you must start the race on the tyres that you set the fastest lap in Q2. So some people go for like a medium run and don't do any runs on the softs for strategy reasons, so they can start the race on medium tyres. So it looks like Lewis has tried to do that, but obviously with the medium tyre being a harder compound at Bahrain, I think it's like for this set anyway, not in real life. Obviously Pirelli has different allocations every weekend, but it was about 1.1 seconds slower, it said, those medium tyres compared to the softs. So with Lewis going on the mediums and nobody else trying the mediums, everybody else in the top 10 is on soft tyres. Lewis is 1.1 seconds slower than what he would have been. And he's finished in P12, which means he can choose any tyres now for the start of the race. But Lewis Hamilton in P12, that is not something I thought I would be saying. That's a mad sight. But yeah, so we're literally we're 2 places behind. We've qualified 2 places behind Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion. Who'd have thought I would have been saying that on the second race of the career mode. But let's get to the race anyway now. That is the end of qualifying for us.
The stage is set for another enthralling race here in the Kingdom of Bahrain. A Ferrari stronghold in years gone by, but will they be able to add to their record today? We'll be racing around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit today. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left down into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Why don't we start by talking about Carlos Sainz? Looks like they've got a tough race in store today as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what...
Alright boys, we're here at the race. Let's take a look at today's grid. We've got Valtteri Bottas starting in pole position with Max Verstappen just behind him in second place. My guy Sergio Perez in third. Sebastian Vettel in fourth as well, followed by his teammate Charles Leclerc. Alex Albon, the stinker, down in 8th place. Esteban Ocon and Lando Norris complete the top 10. Lewis Hamilton, of course, P11. We're P13. Carlos Sainz did take up 10th place grid penalty, so he starts in P16. Our teammate Mick Schumacher behind, 2 places behind Nicholas Latifi. That's not a good sign, is it? Because Latifi's a stinker. And then my man George Russell as well in P21. Fantastic race yesterday from George Russell. Very unlucky. But we're here with our race today. Let's take a look at the strategy. Now, Bahrain's a circuit which isn't too harsh on tyres. It's a night race, like lower track temperatures because it's obviously in the dark. The sun isn't out blazing the track up. So we stick with that default strategy of these softs into medium tyres. Don't want to go near the hards really because I think, that's just too hard of a compound for this race. It'll just slow us down more than anything. And now we wait for the lights to count down. And it's lights out and away we go. I feel like we were there for ages, but we get off to a good start, passing the AlphaTauri on our right, and we pass Lewis Hamilton up the inside there. Lando Norris comes across. Can we attack Lando Norris going into this corner? We do. We're racing alongside them now as we come round the corner. There's Albon and Stroll in front of us with Ocon 3 cars wide on the track. We managed to get past Lando Norris in turn 1, but we run over the curb there a bit, which slows us down, which gives Norris the chance to overtake us again, boys. And it looks like someone's coming on the outside, but we full send it down the inside. Nearly smash into Esteban Ocon right in the rear, but we're racing wheel to wheel with Lando Norris. What a start this is for us and the McLaren. What a bit of racing that was from the start. I just full send it down the inside. Thought I could get that overtake on Norris. Shot it a bit too far. Nearly crashed into Ocon, but what a bit of racing that is. We're ahead of the 2 AlphaTauri cars, and I think it's Lewis Hamilton behind them. We're up into P11. What a start to the race. From P13 was it on the grid? I don't even remember where we were in the grid now. 13 or 14. What a start to the race, And you can see here, boys, we're pulling away on this straight compared to the 2 AlphaTauri cars with obviously that Honda power unit. Our Mercedes engine is just a bigger unit, It's just a more powerful machine. So we do pull away from the AlphaTauris on the straights especially, but going into the corners and stuff on this track, our car, the aerodynamics, the chassis, it's not the best. So the straights is our best friend really. You can see again, we're just pulling away from Kvyat so easy, even though he does have that slipstream in behind us. It is just the corners where we do get caught up a bit, but these straights, like you can see again, I always go to the rear view mirror on these straights here. You'll see a bit later on as well with Alex Albon, the same thing happens, another car with a Honda power unit with the Red Bull, and the same thing happens, these straights, I just tether them on the straights, they can catch me on the corners and stuff. We know that, the Red Bull cars, AlphaTauri as well, the strong chassis and aerodynamics compared to some of the cars with a stronger power unit, but because they excel in that area so much, it makes up for it, do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see as well for next season in the F1 with Honda dropping out, what Red Bull have to do, and obviously AlphaTauri, what they do with their engine. It looks like they're trying to take over the Honda's engine IP and create their own engine, but from the Honda engine, if you know what I mean. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But right now, like I said at the start of the race, I checked the R&D tree. Our engine is the best on the grid. Even better than Mercedes, so we are flying ahead, and we are ahead of a Mercedes in this race as well. We're ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Who'd have thought race 2 of the 2020 season we'd be beating Lewis Hamilton, only after 2 laps of course, but we're leading 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. We must be doing something right. Now we're sort of in this limbo zone. Kvyat obviously 0.5 behind us. Lando Norris just under 1 second in front of us. We need that DRS active as soon as possible. Otherwise we probably will just lose Norris. We need to get that DRS in so we can close that gap to Norris. But then of course he's going to have DRS to the car in front of him because he's that close to Ocon. So we're sort of in a train. There's DRS enabled there. We've got Kvyat behind us who's got DRS. We're sort of in a 5 or 6 car train who's got DRS. And as you can see here on the straight, we do have DRS, but so does Kvyat, and he gets our slipstream. Flies past us there, going down the main straight. And there was a lot of action that does happen on this main straight in the race, you'll see. He takes a weird angle there, Kvyat, coming out of that corner. We almost bump into him, almost cause some damage to the front of the car, but we get away unscathed again. Very lucky with that one there. Now we're trying to catch him. We go deep into the braking zone, up the inside, and that's a quality overtake. We gained that place back from Danny Kvyat. We said, listen lad, you may as well take your sabbatical this year because we're coming for you. We're not letting you get any place on us here. I know he's taking a sabbatical next year probably, but you should have took it this year, lad, because you're not going to beat me, okay? Yeah, so we get that position back. A very nice overtake there, and we keep the two AlphaTauri cars of obviously Kvyat and Gasly safe behind us. Now Lewis Hamilton is nowhere to be seen yet. I wonder, will he make a comeback there? We take that corner very poorly, ride the curb, but we almost lose the car. We were lucky to keep it, which lets Kvyat overtake us again. But like I said, we're going to keep fighting that position. That was a bad racing line for me, but we're going to keep fighting that position. We're not going to let Danny Kvyat take our position away from us. As we come around this corner here, though, again, we ride a lot of the curb. And we take this corner a bit wide again, just over the curbs again. Lucky to not spin the car, which allows Pierre Gasly to go ahead and overtake, but there are yellow flags, and we almost crash into Kvyat there. I don't know what he's doing, but we overtake Gasly going into this corner, or do we? We're wheel to wheel. There's a yellow flag. I don't know what's going on. Danny Kvyat has to retire from the session. Danny Kvyat's engine has failed. We should have pitted right there, boys. We've just drove past the pit entrance. We should have pitted. There's Lewis Hamilton behind us, as well as Pierre Gasly. Danny Kvyat is out of the session, and luckily, just in time, we get a safety car. And what is Alex Albon doing there? Alex Albon is parked on the corner with his handbrake and neutral on. What is he doing? We overtake Alex Albon. Let's take a look at the cameras on board. You know, we're on board with Albon, and the camera just switches to Lance Stroll, I think that is, who's in front of him. I don't know what happens, but he just stops on the corner, boys. We overtake Alex Albon. We're up into P10. And what a crazy incident that was right there. You know, we obviously the safety car was out, but we can still overtake Albon because he was going that slow. It was literally as if he was parked in the middle of the track. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, so we nearly got overtaken by Gasly. We overtook him again. Nearly got overtaken by Hamilton. And now we've ended up in front of Hamilton, Gasly and Alex Albon. So what a unique turn of events. We're going to pit right now. Like I said, we should have pit right away. You know, if I was thinking on a bit more alert, a bit more aware of my surroundings, you know, as soon as I see Kvyat breaking down there, I should have instantly been thinking, you know, safety car's going to come out. Let's pit now and pit early. We could have came out possibly P1 because everyone would have been behind us pitting through the safety car, as you can see we're about to do here. We've just set the strategy to pit a lap earlier. Keep the same wheels that we're going onto the mediums, you know, behind the safety car. We shouldn't burn our tyres out too much. We shouldn't wear them out too much, sorry, because we're going to be behind the safety car for a few laps. But what was weird was that we were literally right around the corner from the pit lane. So I'm not sure how severe the damage was to Kvyat's car. But surely he could have made it to the pits, I would have thought. But anyway, we enter the pits now. Pay attention to the top left as the Ferrari pulls out in front of us. Pay attention to the top left. We were P10 as we entered the pits. And we're going to go ahead and check our rear view mirror as we pit. Let's see where we come out. And McLaren just goes past us there. But we managed to get out between, obviously, our teammate who has gone in for a pit as well. And just behind Lando Norris's McLaren, we come out in P8. So we pitted in P10, came out in P8. Great pit stop right there from the team. Unlike Mercedes this weekend in Bahrain, absolutely costing my man George Russell the win. Even costing Valtteri Bottas the win, but we don't really care about Bottas, do we? Level 200 porridge boss, we don't care about him. We only care about my man George. Yeah. Speaking of George Russell, what a race he had, by the way, yesterday. Fantastic driving. You know, some of the overtakes he did, even on Valtteri, some of the overtakes were crazy. Fantastic showing from the young lad there. But yeah, anyway, back to our race. We come out in P8. We catch up to the safety car queue. And we're just going to snake it around the track a bit. You know, P8, a fantastic position. We started P13 on a grid. Fantastic position to be in. Quite lucky with the safety car, you know, with the pit stop. I can only imagine where we would be if we did pit early, like I did say. But yeah, so we're just sneaking it behind the queue, like I say. We've only got the top drivers in front of us now, you know, Vettel, Ricciardo, Bottas at the front. Who else? Max Verstappen up there as well. And we're just going to try and keep some heat in these tyres, which I forgot to do in Australia last race. If you do remember that, we did have a safety car. I didn't really weave and keep temperature in the tyres, which is probably why Sergio Perez blitzed us on a restart. And speaking of restarts, as we come into the home straight here, I believe this is, we're going into turn 1, boys. Just looking a bit further ahead of us. we look at the racing point there of Sergio Perez, and we see some smoke coming out the back of it. I don't know what that is. Is he just picking up sand off the track, as we are in a desert in Bahrain? But look at that, Sergio Perez has pulled over to the side of the track. Perez has serious damage, and he's out of the session as well. So let's jump on board and see what happened there. So we're on with Bottas. We've got George Russell in P2, Max Verstappen P3, Sergio Perez in P4. Let's follow Vettel on board here. We can see there's smoke starts coming out of the car, and he just pulls off the track, boys. I don't know what it is with Sergio Perez and the Bahrain International Circuit, but it happened in real life last week as well. His car literally blew up on him when he was going for a podium. Pretty much a mirror image of what's happening right here. He was on for a podium there. And you know, his car just went on him. It's mad, it's mad. So Sergio Perez is out of the session behind the safety car. Not something you see happen very often. You know, a car have to retire behind a safety car. Some famous examples I can think of: Romain Grosjean in Baku, when he was trying to heat his tyres up and just dropped his car into the wall. Even this season, as recent as this season, my man George Russell dropped his car in Italy, but we don't talk about that because it's my man George Russell. Speaking of George, he's in P2 in this race here. You know, Valtteri P1, George Russell P2. It's very reminiscent of this weekend. Look at that, we full send it up the inside, boys. We mount the curb. That's going to slow us down a lot, but we full send it against Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo was that, and we gained 2 places. We're in P5. What is happening? Absolutely ridiculous overtake from me there. I should never have gone for that gap. But you know, as Senna once said, if you see a gap and you don't go for it, you're no longer a racing driver. Yeah, so big up Senna. But look at that, we are up into P5. It's crazy. We've only got Sebastian Vettel, you know, what, 3-time world champion is he? We've got Max Verstappen, my favourite driver on the grid, Valtteri Bottas, obviously in the best car on the grid, and George Russell. They're the only people in front of us. Notice how I didn't say anything for George Russell because he's in this stinky Williams car. But yeah, I think George is on soft tyres as well. I've just seen they go around that corner, so I don't know why he didn't pit during the safety car, or if he did pit. But I thought Williams normally like to start on harder tyres in these races. You know, they normally like to start on the mediums or on the hard tyres because they're normally at the back of the grid and they want to extend that first stint as long as they can. But yeah, it looked like he was on the softs there, so I am expecting him to come into the pits. You see how close Vettel and Verstappen are behind him, and we take a bad corner there looking at the cars in front of us, and Danny Rick has just capitalised on that, the Aussie man Danny Ricciardo, and he does go ahead and overtake us very easily there, I can't lie. Verstappen has made the move on George Russell. It looks like Vettel's going to do it in a sec as well, but Russell pulls into the pits anyway to avoid any further embarrassment. Don't know why he didn't pit behind the safety car, but look at this, we've got a McLaren racing alongside us. Is Lando Norris, you know, down this home straight. It's just too easy to overtake with the slipstreams and stuff like that. So a very easy overtake for Lando right there. But he doesn't seem that far away from us, and then he just accelerates out, and I don't know where he got that speed from. Obviously, I believe the McLaren's run on Renault engines this year. I do believe, obviously, they're picking up the Mercedes engine for the 2021 F1 season, which is going to be crazy. You know, McLaren is going to be such a competitive car next year. Even though they already are, you know, they're battling Racing Point for 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship. But next year, the Constructors' Championship's going to be crazy. You know, I'm still expecting Mercedes to, like, piss the league, you know, and win easily. But look at this, we're battling with a Ferrari now as well. Charles Leclerc wants to make a move, and we said, not today, Mr. Charles Leclerc. We know you like to go for those idiotic moves in Bahrain, as we've seen yesterday in the Sakir race. Obviously, shooting it up the inside, taking out Sergio Perez, taking out Max Verstappen as collateral damage. Poor Max. You know, I believe that was a race for Max to win, you know, with Mercedes bottling it. Max should have won that race yesterday, let's be honest. But fantastic job from Sergio Perez yesterday, getting taken out on the first corner to then come back and win the race. Craziness. But like I say, boys, this home straight here, we don't have DRS. Leclerc does have DRS and it's slipstream, and it's just so easy to overtake. And now we've got Alex Albon behind us, and I will be fuming if Alex Albon overtakes us in this race. You know, Leclerc is going all weird with his racing lamb. But yeah, if Alex Albon manages to catch us and overtake us, I won't be very happy, because that is a guy who I don't want to see in the dark blue navy uniform of Red Bull Racing, especially for next season. Yeah, Christian, sort it out, mate. Like, get him gone. But yeah, I know AlphaTauri as well have said that they don't want Albon for next year, so Albon might be seatless. Hopefully he's seatless. I mean, I never like to see anyone out of a job, especially not Regan as well. But yeah, Albon, you know, I hope he's seatless for next year. But like I'm saying, you can see the split times there. He is very close to us. Leclerc just over a second now, so we've lost that DRS range. He's dodging and weaving, trying to make that overtake on this sweeping left-hander. Again, people keep trying to go for moves, but he's tried to take the outside there, which was a bad move, and we just cut that off completely. You know, he tried to take the outside, which was a weird weird idea. But you can see there now Ocon wants a bit of the Albon. He's getting close behind Albon, and he does make that overtake. You can see in the top left, Ocon did make that overtake on Albon, so that failed overtake attempt on us from Alex Albon has actually cost him another place as Esteban Ocon overtakes him. Of course, Esteban Ocon, very familiar with the Bahrain as a city and place, or whatever you want to call it, a kingdom, I believe it's called, as they called it at the start of the race. It's the Kingdom of Bahrain. Mad thing, I don't even know where it is, just somewhere in the Middle East. But yeah, Esteban Ocon, I'm sure he likes this place. Got his first ever podium in Formula 1 yesterday, obviously coming P2 in that race there, which is mad. You know, Esteban Ocon P2, who'd have thought it? One of the most irrelevant drivers on the grid for me. You know, he's always just up there in the mid-table, you know, like 8th. If I had to say the first position on the grid that came to mind when you say the name Esteban Ocon, I'd say P8. I don't know why I get that number, but I just feel like he's a P8. Oh my, look at the race. He's actually P8 in the race as well. I'm not even like, you know, made that up. Like, I swear down. Well, speaking of P8, we're going to be P8 in a sec. We need to stop running our mouth as Esteban Ocon makes the overtake on us there. But yeah, like I'm saying, Ocon, he's had a bit of a stinky year in Formula 1. But he's just absolutely stunk all over us there by taking us, overtaking us. But yeah, man. Like, obviously, he's going to keep his seat for next year. Esteban Ocon as well. Daniel Ricciardo making the move to McLaren. Next season is going to be mad in F1. You know, we've got Fernando Alonso coming back to Renault. Or what are they going to be called next year? Alpine Racing Team, something weird like that. Obviously, Racing Point's making the transition to Aston Martin. Yeah, crazy stuff going to happen next season in Formula 1. But it won't be as crazy as what's happening in this season so far. You know, second race of the season, and we approach the final lap at the finish line. Valtteri Bottas saw the checkered flag. We're in P8 in the second race of the season. We're in the points in the second race of the season, boys. I can't believe it. Alex Albon, we keep him at bay. Christian, sack that man right now. Yeah, he crossed the line, P8. The fireworks are going off. Everyone's going crazy. The team's going mad. The guys back at the factory are absolutely gassed watching it on telly. Yeah, what a result that is. Kimi Raikkonen gets driver of the day for 2 weeks in a row. I don't know how he's got that, especially because the commentator said that Bottas was driver of the day in the post-match commentary thing, if you when we see that. So I don't know what's happened there. But yeah, man, Valtteri Bottas, it looks like Max is P2. And it was a Renault of Daniel Ricciardo actually in P3. So hopefully we'll get to see a shoey on the podium, because we've got the Red Bull man of Max Verstappen and the ex-Red Bull man of Daniel Ricciardo up on the podium next to this Valtteri fat ass, as I like to call him. I don't like that guy, to whom it may concern. Yeah, I'm sure he said that on the radio when he won this race, but lad, shut up, innit? Like, you know what I mean? So there was no Lewis Hamilton to be seen anywhere in that race, apart from just before the safety car did come out, where he nearly overtook us. So it was a bit of timing for the safety car. But yeah, so that is the podium. It doesn't look like there's going to be a shoey for Daniel Ricciardo unless he's about to do it now. But no, obviously they don't have that animation in the game. Would be a nice feature if they did. I think they need to redo his face scan as well, because he looks nothing like Daniel Ricciardo. He just looks like one of those Easter Island heads you'd on it off Night of the Museum. But yeah, there is the grid. There's the top 10. You know, we've got obviously Albon and Gasly completing the top 10 behind us. The guys in front of us, Lando Norris finishing P5. Solid race from the boy Lando. Started obviously 9th on the grid. We had a good race against Norris. Ended up finishing 3 places behind him though. Just couldn't keep up with Esteban Ocon's Renault or Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. That's to be expected though at this stage in the career mode. Of course, the other Renault car finishing on the podium, so you know you can't expect to keep up with that. Kimi Raikkonen though, from P19 into P11, what a race from that man right there. Carlos Sainz as well did well with the engine penalty, getting up from P16 into P12, and Kevin Magnussen from P17 into 13. Lance Stroll having a stinker from 7 down to 14th. Nicholas Latifi finishing above Lewis Hamilton. That's something I'll never ever say in my life again. What has happened there? Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, has finished 1 place above our teammate Mick Schumacher. What has happened there? Wow, yeah, that's an absolute howler from Mercedes, making him go into Q2 with the medium tyres. Why did he not do a lap on soft tyres? I have no idea. But I'm sure with the safety car, that did mess up his whole strategy then, because he was already on medium tyres. So what does he change into? Because obviously it's a one-stop race and you've got to change compound. So I don't know if he'd switched to hards. I don't know if he would have been able to you know, if he switched to softs there, I don't know if they would have lasted him the race. Of course, Lewis Hamilton is a master of tyre preservation, so maybe he could have made softs last that long in the race. It was more than half of the race to go once the safety car came out. So that would have been an absolutely incredible drive if that's what he did. But who knows? Guess we'll never find out. Guess it doesn't matter either, because we've got points on the board and Hamilton got 0. So it doesn't even matter. But yeah, so we're just going through some sponsors here. You know, we get a new sponsor because we've hit Team Acclaim level 3. I'm just taking a look at the different goals, you know, the goal bonus and the weekly income, trying to get a good mix of like both a good weekly income and goal bonus. I think I end up going with Atlantic, the one at the top there, highest weekly income. The goal is unrealistic, you know, complete 75 laps in one race weekend. That's just too many laps. We're not going to do that. You get me? So yeah, speaking of laps, I'm thinking about putting the race length up to 50% instead of 25. It just frees up more options in the strategy. You know, it allows us to do a 2-stop strategy if we do want it. So if you want to see that, let me know in the comments and I'll make the races longer. You know, it means you'll get more gameplay, obviously, because I'll have more laps to show you if stuff happens. But we've got the Vietnam Grand Prix next. That's going to be it for this episode, the Bahrain Grand Prix. Hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next episode, boys. Take it easy.